Yeah. Hey, my name is Jerome, aka Romeo Arcafani. I grew up on October 22nd, 1980. I was born to a crack addicted mother. My dad was never around. As I grew up, my mom left me in the hospital. I was born 3 months early. She was addicted to coke, so she sent me into the foster care system. Foster care system became real dark and ugly. Seemed like no matter which way we turned, only thing that people were really interested in was the money. So as I grew up on the streets since the age of 7 in Oakland, California by myself. I've been through many different things. My mom sold us into child prostitution. I've been beat. I've been molested. I've been violated. I've had to take lives, and I've seen people die. But all along, all I've ever done was waste for family. So in 1993, I met a female. And when we was in foster home, I met a female. She got pregnant. And soon, like when she was 6 months pregnant, she wound up getting killed by two Crip cats who were involved in a robbery who didn't want to leave any witnesses. So I retaliated. When I retaliated and killed them, I was sent to a California Youth Authority at the age of 13 with a juvenile life sentence. From the day that I hit CYA, I couldn't understand and I couldn't fathom why would you send me to YA and punish me for somebody else taking my kid's life. That didn't make no sense to me. So I was already distorted, not knowing anything else but how to defend myself, fight, and that's the only way I knew how to grieve. So as I grew up in YA, I learned how to be a man, but a man through the prison system. Everything was a fight. No matter what I did, it seemed like nothing goes right. I've always been an intelligent dude. I grew up reading, writing. Math was my favorite subject, but I just couldn't seem to get things right. Well, one day when I was in YA, I kind of pictured myself pretty much being on the streets. So I said, you know what? I lost all hope. Everything came down to business, and it seems like everything was just wrong. I felt like I had no purpose. I had no dreams. I had no ambitions. All I had was street smarts, school smarts, and nothing else. I had nobody to turn to, nobody to go home to, and nowhere to run. So when I got out, I started robbing banks and selling dope. So about 2001, I was released from YA a day before my 21st birthday. I tried to go to school. I tried to work for ADT, Special Promotions Department. But the problem was, in order to work for ADT, to be a security consultant, you must have had your guards card, which means I can legally carry a gun. Due to the two murders that I was convicted of as a youth, I lost my job. Trying to find another job was basically impossible. Everywhere I went, they wanted to know why I got fired from ADT. It seemed like the minute I told them that I had a record and I was on YA parole, it was, oh, we'll call you. We'll call you. Everybody makes it seem like there's easy jobs out there. And if you come knock at my door, I'll give you a job. That's unrealistic. So the best thing to do is become an entrepreneur. You can't become an entrepreneur without money. So I started robbing banks. My first time being locked up was 2004. I got caught up for insurance fraud. I was taking cars off of car lots, and taking them down south to Southern California to get them salvaged. I was getting $6,500 a car. Well, one of those cars got me in trouble. I went to the California Department of Corrections, and I landed in Vacaville prison. And no matter where I turn to, I still see myself alone. My whole family is involved in what they call the Black Guerrilla family, or Gaidi. So I felt like the only family I could have is the Black Guerrilla family. So I joined up. From that day forward, it seemed like everything went into a downward spiral. I remember coming to Vacaville level 1 with only 16 points. Next thing I knew, I had 64 points, and I was on my way to Pelican Bay State Prison. I remember my first 3 days in Pelican Bay. I was in a cell with a guy by the name of Kumi Slim. And we were sitting in our cell chopping it up one day, just shooting the breeze. And we see this white dude walk in. And he goes right next door to the Crip boy's house. And I'm like, man, I tell Slim, like, man, that's a white boy going in the army house. He say, no, I think you're a white Crip. But it's about to go up. See, in prison, the whites or other races don't like their folks being anything other than white. You can't claim Crip, you can't claim blood, you can't be a northerner, you can't be a southerner. All you can be is a white boy. So when that happens, they either try to stab them or remove them, what we call removals, which is either stab them, jump them, and it usually leads to what they call riots. So one day we was trying to chop it up with the man, and I told him, I said, Casper, man, don't go out to no sick calls. I'm lacing his boots. Don't go out to no sick calls unless you fill out the sick call form. Don't, whatever you do, make sure that you don't walk away from your groups of blacks. Whatever you do, be escorted by more than one person. This is a level 4, 180. People die here every day. He didn't want to listen, so they signed him up for sick call. So I come out with him. His cellie doesn't come out. My cellie doesn't come out, so it's just me and him in this pod. We were in B pod. As we were walking out, one of the white boys fired on him. Bam! Hit him. Down there knocking him out. So he's just standing there like holding his face. Another white boy come up and cut his throat open. So now it kicks off a riot. We didn't riot over him because he didn't swing back. We rioted over the fact that you're trying to take off on another, what we consider a Crip or a black. So when the other Crips jumped in, then all blacks have to jump in because it becomes a racial riot. So at that time we're in there squabbling and everything. About 5 people, I think it was, got stabbed. I think 5 people got stabbed that day. One dude got severely hurt. He wound up getting airlifted, which means that they call in the helicopter, the hospital helicopter, and they put you in the helicopter and take you to the hospital, which means that you're pretty much close to death. So we all get slammed. We get put in the hole. I go to the hole. I got a shoe for a knife, so they send me to the shoe. They wound up giving me 2 points for that, for participation in a riot with the black guerrilla families, and they called it a race riot, so they gave me 2 points. If you get 3 points, you wind up getting violated. But this was under the old system. So a couple years, I say about like a couple months later, I wound up getting out. I wound up coming back like 45 days later for another robbery, and I was sent to Kern Valley State Prison. And when I got to Kern Valley State Prison, it's another level 4, 180. About 2 months into our time, when I first got there, we were on lockdown for about 2 months. We get off of lockdown, and when we get off of lockdown, I meet up with my comrades. We're talking on the yard, and they tell me, you know, there's going to be another riot today. I say, okay, here we go. What took me to riot for? They like, bro, one of the homies took a suit from a white boy, and he seen it on the tier, he picked it up, and the rules of prison is, if it does not belong to you, keep your hands off of it. So even though we paid the white boys back, the suit is still kicked off of riot. So we're standing there, and we see 2 white boys come around the track. Psycho Mike, that's their leader, he's on the other side. He's walking from the opposite direction. We meet in the middle, line up, start fighting. Everybody's fighting. It's like, I think it was like 30 on 20. So it's like 30 blacks and 20 whites were fighting. They're stabbing because the white boys have a no hands policy, and so does my fraction. So we're stabbing each other. When the white boy comes up and comes to stab me, I have a big, heavy, like orange jacket on because it snows out there. Well, it's really rainy. So when he stabs through the jacket and it gets stuck. The knife gets stuck. So I trap it, and then when I fire on it, I hit him back and he falls. Well, when I lifted up my arm to get the knife, it fell. So when I went to pick the knife up, I was shot in the face with a block gun. A block gun is like a 40-millimeter block of wood with like a handball, like with a handball circle, half moon on the front. And it's supposed to be non-lethal rounds is what they call it. So when I was shot in the face with the block gun, it crushed my eye orbit, my orbital floor, and my zygomatic arch. So during that riot, one of my homies accidentally hit this light-skinned dude that looked like he was white, but he was really a northerner. So the northerners jumped in, and pretty much we had to go against our northern brown brothers. But at that time, we were in association, you know what I'm saying, with the northern brown brothers. And it seems like we wound up getting into it, but, you know, at the end of the riot, everything was good with us. We understood what happened. It was an accident. Shouldn't have took off on him, but then again, it happens. So when I get to the hospital, they have to take out all of my bones. They put 4 plates, 15 screws in my face. They sent me back. I stayed in the hospital for about, I think it was 4 days. And then when I came back to the institution, my first day there, they told me that they were going to give me codeine. Well, I'm allergic to codeine, so I can't take codeine. And I tell them, hey, I can't take codeine. How are you going to give me codeine? So they just crush up a pill and tell me it's tramadol. Come to find out it's codeine. It down there kills me. My throat swells up. I can't breathe. I'm down there dead. So I wind up suing. Well, in the hole, they do not like, which is like their ad site, which is lockup, what people call lockup. the police don't like people who file lawsuits or 602s. But my issue is, hey, you damn near kill me. Of course I got to file a complaint on this. So at the time, I had 3 staff assaults for prior incidents with the police. I'll get to that in a little bit. But during that time, they looked at me as a nuisance. So they came in one day, tried to pop my door and arrest me. So as for police, they come in, it's me and my cellie. So we defend ourselves. We hurt one of the police pretty bad, so they give us more time. But during that time, they hit me in the face with a baton, with a retractable baton. And when they hit me and they break all the bones in my face again. So I got to go back to the hospital, get another surgery. So as I get the surgery, I'm trying to figure out, okay, well, what's going to happen to my eye? Come to find out, it pinched my orbital, I don't know what they call it, the optic nerve. It pinched the optic nerve in the back of my eye, so now I have problems seeing. So now I have a record of staff assaults. I'm considered a nuisance or a menace, and every time I turn around, I'm stuck back in the SHU. At that time, I go to the SHU to sit for 11 years because now I'm validated. They feel like I'm unable to program. They call me a program failure, and they validate me as a member of the Black Gorilla family. So at that time, I sit in the SHU for about 10 to 11 years while I met up with Boxer and all these other cats who wound up being my Northern Brown brothers, my East May brothers, and they taught me a lot. See, back in the SHU, during our days, in Pelican Bay or in Corcoran, I did time in both. In Pelican Bay, there was no nonsense. Everybody was structured. Everybody knew what they were supposed to do. We have yard with each other. We work out. We groups of the Northerners and the Blacks. We work out, and we each one teach one, which really means that each person is able to pass on their knowledge to the next person. I learned a lot from my Northern Brown brothers or my East May brothers at that time, and we were on a brink of pretty much falling out with each other at that time because a lot of people didn't want to meet up with the Northern Brown brothers because the Northern Brown brothers, their program is real structured. They don't do drugs. They work out 2-3 times a day. They don't talk on the tier unless it's important. Things such as that. They're very quiet and they're very observant. Or so are my folks. The Black Gorillas, we don't talk on the tier unless Swahili is an African language. So we do that so the police pretty much can't hear what's being said. But everything that we do is for a purpose. When I figured out that as I'm growing, I became a revolutionist. I became an advocate for my people. So that's just one part of what's brought me on this journey this far. And I would like to share more later on down the road, and I will. Thank you for listening to me today.